Hey guys, this is Spartacus here and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about the death perception perk in Black Ops Cold War and whether or not it's useful, because it has been a little while since Season 5 started in Black Ops Cold War, and at the start of Season 5 we got ourselves the death perception perk. Just like the rest of you out there, I was not very happy that this was coming to the game because we first saw this in Black Ops 4 Zombies and it was not good in that game mode. I mean, it was okay, but like there were so many other perks to choose from, like there was just no point of actually using the death perception perk in that game. And so now we see it here return in Cold War Zombies, and I know a lot of us were hoping we'll get double tap and hopefully one day that'll happen, but anyway, I know this perk kind of gets a bad rap, and now that I've been able to use it for quite some time now, I kind of want to make this video and just talk about whether or not it's useful. And so let's go ahead and talk about its base ability and upgrades. And so the base ability for death perception is obscured enemies are keylined. In other words, that means that enemies like the zombies, they are actually outlined through walls and objects, and so if they're behind an object, you'll be able to actually have more visibility of the zombies and see where they're coming from. The first tier upgrade is the minimap update rate is increased. Second tier, enemies give danger indicators when behind the player. Third tier, gain 20% more looted salvage and high grade salvage. Tier 4, increase armor penetration damage by 25%, and tier 5, nearby chests, resources, and item drops are keylined through walls. And so some of these upgrades are actually pretty good. The minimap update rate is increased. That's just saying that the UAV or the radar on your minimap is just moving more frequently, so it's a lot easier to see the red dots and enemies on the map. And so that's convenient, not gonna lie, but I don't really think it's like that useful, if I'm being completely honest with you. The second tier, where it gives you indicators where there's enemies around you, I find this completely useless. Probably the worst part about all the upgrades on this list. And so the reason why I find it useless is because I can hear the zombies. They're always moaning, they're groaning, they're yelling, whatever, right? And especially if I'm running a train trying to go for high rounds, I know there's zombies behind me. You know, you don't have to give me a danger indicator showing that they're behind me. It just doesn't make any sense at all, unless maybe there definitely are people who are deaf and who can't hear, and so maybe that'll be useful for those kind of people, but I'm not deaf, so for me it's just completely useless. The third tier, where it gives you 20% more salvage, that is awesome. I think this is very beneficial for actually trying to upgrade your weapon and your armor a lot earlier in rounds, and so I think it's definitely useful in that sense. And I find it a little bit more useful in just the standard survival maps like Mauer der Toten or even Die Machine. When it comes to the standard survival maps, I find this part about the perk to be a little bit more useful, because in those kind of like maps you play, it's a lot harder to actually upgrade your weapon than it is in Outbreak, in my personal opinion. And then of course the tier 4 upgrade, increase armor penetration damage by 25%. No complaints there at all. I do find that part about the upgrade to be more useful in Outbreak than the survival maps, just because in Outbreak you are going up against more enemies who are wearing armor, such as manglers and of course just standard zombies. However, if you are playing the normal survival maps and you are going for high rounds, then this will definitely be a very beneficial part, because when you get into those high rounds, basically every single zombie coming after you is going to be wearing armor, and so it's going to be more useful for higher rounds than the earlier rounds, but in Outbreak is just good all around. And then the last tier upgrade, tier 5, I find to be the best part about this perk, and that is when chest and resources item drops are all outlined through walls and objects. And this is amazing, because when you're playing Outbreak and you're trying to search buildings, trying to find those chests, trying to find those random essence like scattered everywhere, this is where it comes in handy, because normally when you find chests in Outbreak, you kind of just search a building, you kind of hear where it's at, and you kind of just follow the audio and try and get into the right room and open up the chest. Well, now it's outlined for you. You can see it through walls, and so when you get near a chest, you're going to be able to see exactly where that chest is located and just go straight to it and then just open it. You don't have to actually listen to audio and just search randomly and try and find the chest. Now you can just find it immediately, and it's just so nice. Same with the essence. You know, there's essence scattered everywhere on the Outbreak maps, and so it makes it so much easier just to collect those. And what's also cool about this that it doesn't really say here in the description is that you can actually see intel as well. I was able to actually find an empty soda can, an empty perk can, I guess you will, which I believe is the elemental pop can, and I could see it through the wall because I had this perk activated. And so if you guys are trying to collect intel, especially the ones that are, I guess, the objects that you collect, not necessarily necessarily like the papers and the audio logs. If you're trying to find the actual, I guess, objects or artifacts, then this perk will actually allow you to see them through objects, which makes it so much easier to get done with the intel if you guys are trying to collect them. Another thing I notice about this perk, what I find very useful when you're playing Outbreak, is sometimes you'll have those mini world events where it's the crystal event where you shoot these orange crystals, and if you shoot all of them in a certain amount of time, then you can get yourself an Aether tool to upgrade your weapon rarity. And so what's cool about the Death Perception perk, you can see those crystals. It's the same deal like the chest, you know, you're trying to listen and hear where the crystals are at so you can shoot all of them and get that Aether tool in time. But now with the Death Perception perk, you can just see all those crystals through the walls, and it makes it so much easier to get this challenge done, because there's been a few times where I'm trying to shoot all the crystals in certain locations and I have no idea where the last crystal is at, and sure enough I end up failing the mini event and I can't get the Aether tool to upgrade my weapon. So this, by far, Death Perception is the best perk to use when playing Outbreak. I cannot tell you how beneficial it is to actually get that extra salvage, to actually kill enemies because you have that extra armor penetration, and just of course seeing the outline of zombies, enemies, and resources everywhere around the map just makes it so much easier. I cannot like express that enough. So every time I play Outbreak from now on, this is the first perk I buy. Like as soon as I get enough points, I am going to buy this perk because it is so freaking helpful, and I cannot recommend it enough when playing Outbreak. But what about the survival maps? Like, is it any useful in that? Honestly, it's not really that useful when playing normal survival maps. Like I mentioned, if you're going for high rounds, that extra armor penetration is going to be useful. And of course, since you can basically buy every perk in a single match without any limitations, at some point we're all going to get the perk, right? We're all going to buy this perk eventually, even if it is the last one on our list. But yeah, in the survival maps, it's not too useful. Like I said, the armor penetration is good. The salvage, getting that extra salvage is also useful because it's a lot harder to upgrade your weapon in the survival maps than Outbreak, in my opinion. And so it definitely has some use, especially if you have it upgraded. If you don't have it upgraded at all, then yeah, it's going to be completely useless. I don't even recommend it at all. But I think this perk definitely shines in Outbreak by far, and Elemental Pops is still my least favorite perk in the game, and so I definitely recommend using Death Perception, you guys. I think it's a very underrated perk that definitely needs to be used more often, especially in the Outbreak game mode. And so anyway, that is it for the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more Call of Duty videos every single day, and I shall catch you guys later.